What's up? All right, so today I'm gonna draw another Birdito and talk to you through my process. They're basically, I'm doing those videos because I plan to do tutorials, and I'm really not used to do this kind of shit. So yeah, they're just training for me, really, just to see what I need to what I need to improve, and as well what part of my process I need to think through more thoroughly so I can explain it better. So feel free to drop me some feedback. That would be very helpful. And all right, let's get to it. So today's bird, let's see. I'm gonna choose a bird from my reference folder. Is this one? I thought it looked cool. It's got a weird pose because the tail is the tail and the wing are usually aligned, and in this case they're not. So let's see what comes out of it. Right. So again, I'm not trying to reproduce reality here. I'm just I use this picture as I think as foundation or as base for my design basically. So I'm just gonna walk around with proportions and just try to make it as cute and attractive as possible. All right, let's go. So as usual, first thing I do, let's make this a bit darker so you see it better. I draw an axis. Oh, actually, magenta on red doesn't work. Let's go blue for this one. Right. So first thing I do, you gotta, yeah, right. I don't know what's going on today. I draw an axis that goes through the whole center of the bird, so I can anchor my lines and shapes more easily. Then I try to find the two main curves of the bird, which are the curve of the belly, down here, that leads to the curve of the top of the face. And in general, opposed to those curves, they are straight, so this is the straight of the throat and the straight of the back. Then in this case here, there's a very usually you can boil down a bird to those two curves and then the opposite straight. But in this case, there's the I think the bird is basically tilting its tail down, like normally it would go that way if he was in a resting position. But he's tilting it down like this way, so like it creates this very strong angle. I think it's very characteristic from this pose. So like I'm adding this as well. It's basically the alignment of the tail, really, which is the next step. When I have the main curve, I look for the alignment of the tail and alignment of well, the axis of the tail and the axis of the eye and beak. Then I just would put the eye, just the beak, and I would look for the alignment of the wings that I would just block in. Yeah, and that's my first pass basically. Oh, and yeah, and the legs. Just hang down an axis to see what more or less we're there. Okay, so let's do this. General axis. Curve of the belly leading into the curve of the face. Opposing straight here as well. And I correct as I go along the case here. I mean, I never get the proportions right from the first go. So basically, when I draw those lines, what I'm really looking at are this shape here that I try to reproduce. So you have to reproduce. So this is what I'm looking at: shapes, not single lines. Same thing for this bottom curve here. I'm looking at this shape. That's why having the central axis is so important to me. Basically, when I draw, I wouldn't be. Yeah, those are all imaginary lines that I have in my head, not that I wouldn't be on the bird that I'm sketching, obviously. So, but actually, you know what? I'm gonna show you my hands again. I think it's way more interesting than see my face. There you go. So you see how I position them and how I move. Okay. Right. So when we have this, I'm gonna do the axis of axis the beak like this. And again, when I do this, I'm looking at this little shape here. And as well, like this shape as a reference to help me. And let's see, ooh, well, this is very far off. I can just correct that. Like using shapes to measure is a super powerful tool. I don't know. I really believe it's way more efficient than using vertical and horizontal as main measuring tool. Of course, I do use vertical and horizontal as measuring tools, but they're more secondary to verify my shapes are well placed in relationship to each other. Does that make sense here? Like for example, here I don't know. I'm not too sure about this axis there. So what I would do is I'd pull a horizontal line where there's a direction change here, and I see where it lands. So it lands more or less on the bottom of the throat. So let's see. And, well, it's more or less there. So we'll keep it. Next, what do I have? I would do. It doesn't really matter. I'll place the eye here, not here. And again, when I'm placing the eye, I'm looking at the distance between the eye and the top. This shape, and see if it makes sense. I can see shape. Alright. Now the beak. When I place the beak, I'm looking at the distance between the beak and the eye, and the shape that it creates. Bottom of the beak. Right, now let's try to place let's see, the wings. It's almost a parallel line. No, what am I saying? A horizontal line. Block them in. Always go from a general. Well, I always go from general to specific. I know some people can just, do a perfect drawing right away. I think there's something wrong with their brains. You're not supposed to be able to do that. Okay, so the wings. No, actually, you know what? I forgot something here. Like there's this triangle or feather around here that covers the tail, and the same thing at the bottom, really. And it's a good landmark, really, to help you uncover the bird's features. So I'll reproduce that. Something like that. Then the tail. You can see my angle is a bit off. It should be more in that direction. So I don't care. I'll rough it up. This pass needs to be very, not needs to be, but can be very, very messy. It's just, you're just measuring at this point. You're not trying to do anything anything fancy. Right, so another thing I would block is probably the the head. So I can see that it's some kind of curve. Like most of the time it's a S curve. Like it goes, I don't know, like this. In this case, I think it's just it needs to be a C curve, or I messed up my. Actually, it was an S curve. It's thing like this, but I've messed it up so much. I've trashed my drawing so much that I missed it. So let's make something like this, and I can tell because that's where the change of direction here occurs. So that allows me to correct something else here. Like my change of direction was happening too high. Right now, look at the axis of the legs. When I do that, I basically I check this axis, see where it lands. It's probably something like that, and then I'm checking. I'm gonna try to maybe let me see here for you. And I look at this negative space here to help me place it really. So right, so I'm gonna erase this. I don't like to erase, but this is for you really, for clarity. So there's this negative space around here that allows me to place it. And that axis is something like this. We can't really tell, so I'm gonna need to improvise on this one. That's why it really helps to learn bird anatomy a little. So if you need, so you know what you're drawing. I think it's very essential to know what you're drawing before drawing it. That's why studying shit is super important. In case the picture is not good, or if you're drawing from real life, let's say your model moves or flies away, then you can basically continue your drawing just with the knowledge you know about the general bird anatomy or human anatomy or whatever you're drawing, basically. So no, like something is bothering me here. I can see that the mantle is the black feather here. It's really too small here, so I'm gonna just correct that. It should be something like that. I'll just erase for you. And then at this stage, I would also block in the different segments of the wing, which are, again, like I know this because I've studied bird anatomy, and without studying bird anatomy, I wouldn't know how to structure my wings. Really, I would just random those things. But once you know what to look for, much easier, really. So basically, you have what are called the coverts here, that are broken down in two categories: lesser and greater coverts. But I don't really care about that. I just simplify them in one row. Then you have the secondaries here. The secondaries as well can be broken down in two parts. Like they have three main feathers. They always have those three main feathers. We can see them here: 1, 2, and 3. And then there's a bunch of other feathers under it. And then here you got the primaries, just a bunch of stacked feather. And usually, like those three feathers are super important because like it really makes the bird wing much more believable, I guess. And they're easy to spot because they in general, I don't think you can really see it here. Let's see. Well, no. So in most of the birds, their tip is of a different color. Or I guess here you can see it's a little bit. No, it's not. But yeah, well, it's something to look for when you're drawing birds. Of course, every bird is different. So it's the cool thing about it. It's just you learn a little bit about the subject you're drawing. every time you draw it. This is the advantage of drawing like this, because you really need to deconstruct and understand how things work, rather than just I mean, there's many ways to draw. Like one way would be to just, get the coordinates of points and put them in relationship with each other. uh, I don't think I mean, I'm sure you learn stuff from doing that, but you learn less than from this constructing and finding the structure and the curve relationship in the item you're drawing. So one little tip here is like those three feathers are structured the same way, so their tip should be the same if you want it to look more natural. And, right. So that would be a first pass. Then what I usually do is if I was drawing on paper, this pass would be done super light with a pencil, basically without barely applying pressure on the pencil, just so I can draw over it, pushing a little bit harder. And when you draw digitally, well, you can just change the opacity of your layer, which yeah, it's awesome. So now, like when I redo my second pass, when I do my second pass, I'm gonna use the same. I'm not just randomly gonna, okay, so I'm gonna follow this line, I'm gonna follow that line, blah blah blah. If you do that, you're just gonna kill the well, your drawing is not gonna look genuine anymore. It's gonna look like a copy of your drawing, really. What you need to do is just, use the same technique that you've used for your first pass. Just start with the curve of the belly, go to the curve of the top of the head, put the different axes. Just literally use the same technique that you used before, but cleaner. Now that you have a guide to help you. And as you do that, try to find where you want. Just look at the bird and flip back and look at the picture, and see where where you fucked up, because you probably did fuck up at this point. I mean, it's unless again if you're, I don't know, one of those drawing genius that I love to hate, but secretly admire. Yeah, just correct as you go along. Keep on correcting until, for example, here, I'm looking at this little angle. I was like, yeah, it was off. Let's fix this shit. Yeah, I'm looking at that angle. I tried to add another, well, more details basically. At every pass that I make. Like now I'm looking at this shape here, see if I draw it correctly. Maybe it'd be easier if I had that shape down first. Like this. Yeah, it looks more or less correct. Then here, I see there's another a little straight here that I'm gonna add. So a good way to spot those details is by in animation we call that eye flipping. Well, actually no, it's not just animation. You like when you sketch, it's a very good technique. It's like you look at your drawing and then you look at the subject. You look at your drawing, you look at the subject, and by flipping from your subject to the drawing, because of you call this like persistence of vision. Basically, when we're training, you have this ability to superpose both your drawing and the thing you're drawing. Really, if you flip your eyes very quickly, and that allows you to you check which relationship are wrong, which curves are poorly placed, and correct accordingly. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, those are all things I'm gonna make specific tutorials about. Like right now, really, what I'm doing is to just I'm trying to figure out how I draw and structure it really, so I'll be able to make a tutorial about it. And again, I repeat it. There's many ways to draw, and much more talented people than me to draw from. But this is just my technique, basically, that I've compiled from watching a lot of artists draw. I think that's what you should do. I mean, that's what everybody should do. Just don't learn one technique from one artist. Just try to learn as many techniques as you can. Watch as many artists as you can draw. And for that, YouTube is, I mean, nowadays, it's just so awesome. Like, we get so many, there's so many tutorials, videos everywhere. Fuck, when I was a teenager, there was no internet. And the only way to learn how to draw was just to go to the library. Just get like the 3 shitty books about drawings that I have and just try to learn from that, or just learn from yourself. I don't think people realize how fucking lucky they are nowadays. It's just mine of information everywhere. And most people don't fucking use it. They just anyway. I should stop ranting. Just concentrate on my drawing, which is also something that I advise you to do. Is like when you draw, just don't fucking think about anything. Concentrate on your drawing and your line, and don't let other thoughts get into your head. Anything you think about is basically well, it's basically brain power that you divert from that could be used to draw better. Really. Like, you should focus on your drawing rather than whatever you're thinking about. That's why it's difficult for me right now. Like, I have to talk and draw, which is really something that I'm not used doing at all. I really empty my mind when I draw. All right, so now, like, I've got all the main groupings down really, but it's kind of boring if you leave it like that, because you get those big areas here, big areas there, and well, here it's less boring. But it's more the face. It's just like, meh, what is this? Just I need to break it down into smaller shapes, and that's why it's essential to know bird anatomy. Like, I know because I've studied this shit, that there is a grouping of feather here called, I think they're called like throat feather and mallard. This is supposed to be 2 groupings. I just grouping into one. Then I know that the top feathers of the head are called the crown, and you can distinguish. We can barely distinguish them, but like I can see, because of I can see a change of direction in the feathers. I can see that this grouping is there. If you didn't study bird anatomy, you wouldn't. Yeah, good. I mean, some birds of different colors, well, feathers of different colors, so it's easy to spot. But in this case, they're all fucking red. So how can you? Yeah, you really need to know. Like, for example, I know that there's something. Well, there's 2 groupings of feather here, but I don't know. I just, for sake of design, I like to group them into one. And at this point, I take a lot of freedom just to make shape as attractive as possible. I don't really care about. Well, I care about the reference because I'd like to know where they are, but like their actual shape and structure, like I just mess around with it so that I can I have, I don't know, I focus on those shapes. I just try to have nice dynamic shapes. So yeah, it would be something like that. If my beak is off, I mean, it's always a good idea to get the beak right, because different birds have different beak structure. It basically tells you what they're. I mean, that's how you tell what the birds eat and what's the function of the bird really. Like, their beak really is a reflection of what they eat, since it's their main, their primary tool. And it's still off. Yeah, you know what? I don't care. Okay. So this is where I basically stop using my reference, and I am going to. Well, I could clean this up, and I'll have a realistically ish looking bird, but I'm not making anatomically correct bird. I'm making birditos. So this is where I would push the proportions. So let's do this. I would push the proportion, but trying to keep the curves correct. So bigger eye to make it look cuter. Probably a bigger beak as well. But trying to keep the structure of the beak. And then just make all those shapes as attractive and simple as I can. This is, I don't know, I can't really. Well, yeah, I can teach this part actually. But it's really core of like design ideas that I'm working on. It's like I use dynamic shapes. I try to have all the curve flow into each other. Just to increase appeal, really. Make the body super small. Yeah, I like that. Make the body, I think, even smaller than that. Let's try to see what happens if we do this. Yeah, let's push it. And this is, I mean, it's always I never know if I'm gonna make a nice drawing. Basically, this might be a complete failure, but it's, I don't know, it's fun. And when I do that, I try to keep, see, I keep the inclination of the wings correct, proper, accurate. I push proportion, but yet somehow stay accurate. I don't know. Again, I don't know if it makes sense. See, this is why I do this video. This might be something that I need to think about how to express this shit more clearly or efficiently. So I'm gonna click a bit here. Probably push that more here. So I flipped from my original drawing, and I'm basically wondering where this curve actually is, where it lands in relationship to the wings and to the mantle. And I'm gonna keep that proportion, well, that relationship, that proportion there. So my mantle. The mantle is here. The axis will be there. Actually, I think I need to push that mantle up so that it makes more sense. And then no. So this phase is gonna be messy as fuck because I'm trying to find I'm reworking the proportion entirely, so it's really trial and error to see if shit works. And you know, you try some things. All right, that works. That doesn't. What do we keep? What do we scrap? The wings are an issue. I think I'll probably put that over here. Make the wings a little bit shorter. I like to flip from my original drawing to my final drawing. I think it allows you to very rapidly see what works and what doesn't. It could be a little bit bigger. Something like that. Yeah, why not? Let's try to do it. Then you need to respect the proportion. Wow, the curve, like this curve needs to be the same as the previous curve. You need to stop more or less at the same spot. Then why it should be bigger. Big should be around here. Okay, it's getting very messy now. I should probably right. Yeah, I'm even getting confused about what the fuck I'm doing right now. So I'll just I'll clean that up. And then rework the feature correctly. Like as I do this, I try to yeah, I mean I try to memorize the as I was drawing it, doing the first passes. I tried to memorize as much as I could. Like this one. Oops, wrong layer. Okay, let's try to put back the peak. Something like that. It's coming down. And from big eye because it makes it cuter. Cute and angry. I think that's how they end up looking. I guess I don't know. I like that. Shape around here. Something that I've completely lost here is this this line around here. This basically And I'm gonna try, I don't know, I think it was the main feature of the bird, so I need to get that back in. Let's see. We can go a bit further. Basically, like where this line changes inclination is where the head and the body separate. See, I'm really, trying to keep relationships intact. So now I'm kind of looking at another layer. I'm looking at this shape here. And I wonder, well, do I still have it? Yeah, more or less. Like this shape. Wow. This shape here. Similar to this shape. Actually, it should go down a little bit more. So I see that this should up and then down. Stop right here. Okay. 36 minutes in. Right. I really need to draw faster. Alright, so I'm happy with the face. Let's see the body. I don't like this curve here. It should be more like this, I think. Actually, it should go down even more. So what I do it again is I flip between my two layers and I concentrate on this curve here and the relationship with the curve in the wing and the curve and the triangular shape here. And yeah, I noticed that the wing should be lower. Yeah, the wing could be around here. What else? And the mantle here could be much lower as well. Maybe a bit pushed back. Let's get rid of this one. Something with the triangle, I don't know. The triangle. This was wrong. It really, this curve there. It's, well, I'm looking at the relationship between this curve and this curve, basically. You see, it's just this start. There's a line here almost vertically. So I try to reproduce this. I'm going back. It's just a game of like seeing how far you can push it. I think I went too far. And then I went back and it was too close to reality, so just pushing it back again. Yeah, man. Getting lost. When I see I'm getting lost, not lost, but I'm starting to like delve too much into one area. It's just like, all right, I should probably stop doing that and switch to something else, and then I go back to it. Just, I try not to get absorbed by single elements. So no, I'm just gonna focus on the wings a little bit. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Tail. This neck as well. Okay, I think that works for me. like that change of direction here. Something that I noticed was very typical from this bird. And I tried to replicate it in an exaggerated version, so it was really like that. Okay, it had a nice angle. So these are all things that I try to keep as I exaggerate really. Right, okay. I'm gonna clean that up. Or maybe like I would look at shapes like this negative shape. Do I still have it? I mean, how is it? See, it's higher here. So I would just that way higher and try to have the shape, the negative shape between. Right, I don't like this at all. Right, I think I'm getting a bit lost in detail, so I'm just gonna put this next to it. And let's clean this up once more. And now I'm looking at both drawing as I do this. And see if there are things that are really fucked up or unappealing or well, things are basically little characteristic traits from this drawing that are not replicated in my drawing, in my exaggeration. Um, just yeah, just playing around really. Here's just too much. Let's go below, I guess. No, I was right. Okay. The beak. The beak was thicker, so I tried to reproduce that as well. Try to change it. It's an S shape that goes into an S shape, and I'm trying to make them work nicely together. This is like a puzzle to me. I mean, I really want all the pieces that fit perfectly together and dynamically together. It's just that's what creates the appeal of my bird style, I think. I don't know. So I'd like to think. I don't know, I kinda like that. And the foot. Yeah, I'm starting to like this drawing. To be honest, I didn't know where this was heading, and I was a bit doubtful it was gonna be anything interesting up to a few minutes ago. But that's the thing; it's very important not to judge what you're drawing when you're drawing. There's something I learned. Actually, I learned that in pool. It's very weird. Like I used to play a lot of pool, but now that I have kids, I don't have time for this, unfortunately. But in pool, if you doubt your shot, you know, you get ready to take your shot. If you have any doubt about your shot, if you think you're gonna miss it, you will fuck it up. There's just no way you'll make it. It's a very mental game. So I've learned that in pool. Like, as soon as I had a doubt installing itself in my head, I would just stand up again and redo my whole routine basically to retake my shot, to aim and everything. And then I used to do a lot of live drawing. Again, that damn kids, man. I love the kids, but yeah, I've had to make a lot of sacrifices to be this and that. So I'm not doing that much live drawing anymore. But I've learned that I've noticed that live drawing was the same thing. Like it's quite difficult really to do live drawing because you only have like 5-10 minutes to draw the human figure. And if you start judging yourself, it's like, oh shit, I can't make it. Like, this is not how it is. Ah, it's not accurate. Oh, it looks like shit. If those thoughts install themselves in your mind, you're just gonna keep on fucking up and fucking up and fucking up, and you're gonna get frustrated. And your drawing will always, just look terrible. It's just, vicious circle. So I've learned that, yeah, some drawing would look like shit. Or sometimes you start a drawing and it looks like shit at the beginning, but somehow you manage to I don't know, some little jewels come out at the end. And sometimes the drawing that on the day you draw it, you think it's crap. When you look at it the next day, it's like, oh fuck, it wasn't too bad after all. So really, don't fucking judge what you're doing as you do it. Leave that for the next day or for other people. Alright. I think I can start cleaning up now. That's it makes enough sense to me. So I'm going to black. Probably take a line with. Let's see. And when I clean, I go super close and try to do nice one-shot lines. I don't know. There's just something that I feel that every line is a beginning. I know I keep repeating myself, but it's really something that I strongly believe in. Every line has a beginning and an end, and an intensity. It's like they have their own life, and their own story to tell. And before you draw a line, you really need to think about that. It's like, where does it start? Where does it end? Is it a strong line? Is it like weak line? Does it have a lot of action in it? I don't know. And I think it's difficult at first, obviously, because you need to have a strong hand, I guess. But I mean, drawing is something that you can learn it in one day, so you're gonna have to train. That's unavoidable. So you might as well just put the time into this shit and you know develop a nice, and how to say it, confident line, because that's what I want to say. Or you can draw like this. I don't know. Would you prefer this or this? I think the choice is easy to make, but some people draw very well like that. It's just not my thing, that's all. I guess again, and I repeat myself, it's because of tattooing as well. Like when you tattoo, if you don't want to have little, I don't know how to say this in English, like blotch skin in the of ink in the skin. Well, every time you pull out your needle from the skin and put it back in, you have a probability you increase the probability of little, yeah, as I said, like blotches or like pools of skin, pools of ink created. You increase the probability of creating pools of ink in the skin, which make your line look shitty. So the way to limit that is to make one-shot lines. And I've worked that technique, the twing. You know, I guess I've brought that back into drawing. That's a cool thing about working in creative fields. Is that something that you learn in one discipline or one field can be applied to others. Like I've had many different jobs in my life, but they were all creative jobs. So you know, sometimes you feel, fuck, I've spent so many years doing this, what a wasted time. Well, it really isn't, because I've noticed that I've brought back a lot of skill from well, I mean, it's just, I don't know how to say this. It's just that skill you learn into one job applies to another one. And yeah, everything you learn has value at the end of the day. It's never wasted time, but part of a journey. I ramble. Okay, so focus back on the drawing. That's something that I've said before, but I guess I'm just gonna keep on repeating things that I find important. It's just when you, that's a very beautiful line, but it's not the point of focus. And I'm gonna put I'm gonna put a power line around it, so I'll leave it like this. Right. What was I saying? Yeah, when you draw a line, be aware of your of the line's natural rotation point or anchor point. Basically, like your hand is like a compass, you know, like that turns into one direction, it doesn't turn into the other direction. And the anchor point of this compass is the finger that you have on your screen, or the palm, or in certain case your elbow that you put on the table. And try to always have this rotation point within the line. So as an example here, I'm gonna try to do, like, let's say this line. It's almost straight, but it's a bit curved towards the bottom of my screen. It's perfect, like here I'm perfectly placed, because the natural motion of your hand is to go, well, towards you. I don't know if I'm making this sense. This is things that I need to learn how to express more efficiently. Yeah, basically always keep your hand inside the curve, not outside. I'll show you why. Like, example here, this line here, I'm gonna try to do. Right now, I'm outside of the curve and it's really difficult. Like, I feel cramped, like my shoulder and my elbow are very close to my body. And it's just difficult to make a beautiful line. Where if I go on the other side of this line and just draw it from inside, it's just the natural inclination of your body, and I know this line is much easier to make, basically. You're right. It's I was gonna say, like, stop, let's draw more, but that's kind of not the point, is it? I like that line. See, all right. At this point, I still allow myself a fair amount of freedom. I try to respect the shapes that I've found my previous drawing, but I deviate a little bit. Like I still improve the shapes that I've created in the previous past. I mean, I see the previous past more as a guide rather than you know, this is all you have to do. This is exactly where you have to go. No, just every rough to me is a round of improvement. The only time in the drawing where I will stick to my line perfectly is the next pass after this when I put my power outline, because I need to be exactly on top of the line or next to the line. Another good idea is to pull out from time to time, pull back in. Like you see artists doing that when they just, if you paint, you just take a few steps back and then look at your painting, then step back in. It's quite important because it allows you to well, you need a global view to really see where you fucked up, what works and what doesn't work. Here, I don't know. I think I'm gonna try to put it so you can see. Make it look meaner. I like that. And something like that. Does that work? Yeah, it wasn't at all what I intended, but I kinda like it. Let's keep it. And find the line on the face. Let's see if it works. No, it doesn't work. I don't know. I'm hesitating here, so I'll leave that for later. I'll try to do this one shot here. Nope. Maybe like this. And then like that. Okay. I guess there's a change of direction here. Oh, I created a change of direction. Okay. Well, something that I forgot to do. I'm gonna go back to my. It's basically the cover here. It's a round feather that I forgot that's supposed to come here, and I completely forgot to put it in. Let's get my original drawing and see. That's not my original drawing. What the fuck is that? Cool looking bird, but not my bird. It here. I'm gonna improvise on this one. Let's see. How I could do this? I'm going to change that shape, make it more dynamic. Something in it. Let's see if that works. Then add the Lula. I guess that could work. And it can. It's yeah. I mean, I didn't like the way this curve here was not part of the greater wing curve, so it allows me to hide things that I don't like. Yeah, if you're not sure about something in drawing and if it doesn't fucking work, just hide it. Let's add an element in front of it and just, yeah, be creative and hide the imperfection of your drawings or things you're not too sure about, things that don't look as good as you would have liked them to. Okay, I like that. Yeah, I like that. Cool. Not at all in the original drawing. And a real bird drawer would probably give me shit for doing that. I don't care. I'm not drawing real birds. Another thing, always connect your lines. Don't leave things like that. It's just horrible. Like really take the time to connect all your lines perfectly with the, according with the proper line weight. Those are things that people probably, that only you as an artist see. But I may be completely wrong about that. But I think that people feel it basically when you see the piece as a whole. Even if you don't see all those little connections, when you appreciate the piece, just, I don't know, it just feels like a more professional drawing if they're done properly. Such a weird way to put detail. You know what? I know what's looking very weird. This is wrong. It gives the impression that the bird's tail is completely bent. Like, there's a perspective here that I got wrong. It should be something like that. This angle is more right. I'm really not happy with those lines here. They're very weak, but I'm gonna hide them afterwards. Just redraw it, but I know I'm gonna put a power line, so it's just a waste of time to write something that I'm gonna hide anyway. Like, it's very, I don't know, but it's again like that. It's very mechanical. Yeah. One good trick design-wise is to oppose straight to curves. Just creates really nice dynamic shape, and in general, in living things in nature, that's, I mean, that's out there. So it is really like if the natural flow of the body pushes one curve, and the opposite of that, you'll have a straight or quasi straight. And those are things that I need to make tutorial about because you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Again, that's why I'm doing those videos, so I know what I have to do tutorials about. And try to mumble this. Right, okay. Also, I need to buy a keyboard that makes less noise. I noticed that it was noisy as fuck in the videos. So those feet are completely wrong. They don't have the accurate structure. Basically, every bird, I don't know what you say, finger. Like the back one has two segments, then the other one have three, four, and five segments, but I forgot which one. I mean, which toe? I mean, they're not called toe. I'm sure has this which amount of segments. So that's something I need to review. But you don't know that. I mean, you haven't seen it. I haven't told you, so it's fine. Okay, so now what am I doing? I'm doing the secondaries here. So I draw the grouping first, and then I break it down into singular feathers. Yeah, again, I mean, the only thing that I really respect in the wing are the different groupings. So the coverts here, the coverts that I already drawn, the secondaries that I'm drawing now with the three main feathers, and then the primaries, and then those two alula. I don't know if you say this. Alula feathers coming covering just the forward part of the wing. And I feel that by respecting only these three things, it makes my wing believable. But I mean, they're clearly not how wings are built. They're way more complex than that. Then again, like if you add too many details, things get not as attractive. So you really need to find the amount of detail that you find visually pleasing. Yeah, another trick here is to keep like the trim and feather. The tip of the trim and feather has to be parallel. Very important. If you want it to be believable. Or it's just gonna look, I don't know, it's weird, but we see those things. Even though you don't know shit about birds, you're gonna think like, that looks wrong. As I do this, I try to create variation in every single of my feather, make it visually pleasing. And cleaning up as we go along, as we draw. Well, you could leave the cleanup for the end, but then, ugh, it's just such a cheap phase to go through. You have to just clean your whole drawing, correct everything. I find it's easier if you do it as you go along. You know, I really don't like this curve anymore. If I can look in there, I think this is better. Should have erased it first. If I can salvage this. It's not perfect, but I mean, I only have. Oh shit! I'm already over an hour. I'm trying to do this. I need to do these things in half an hour. This is never gonna work. Actually, let's leave it like that. Just one extra feather. Completely wrong. Screw it. Okay. Alright. Did the same thing here. It have the tip of the feathers all aligned to each other for extra realism, I guess. Well, just they seem more believable. And when you take so many freedom with your design like I do, you really need to actually try to respect some things that catch the eye, so that your bird look like a bird and not like a random shit. Alright, I'm almost there. The back feather. The back feather, I take a lot of freedom with it. I've noticed that if I actually draw it with the right amount of feathers and everything, it just it just doesn't look attractive at all. And, well, I just I don't know. Correct. Should go under it. Then we do this. It's just gonna look like it's too short if I messed a bit there, so it should be hidden behind it. Again, if you're not sure of something, fucking hide it. And that works. I like it. Oop. Right. Mm. Okay, like one advice, like if you want to, like ideally I should redo this entire curve, but if you want to do a curve in two shots and just stop there, when you pick that curve back or that line back, don't start at the end of it and do like that. No, start like a little bit inside of it without putting too much pressure, and then continue. It will allow you to keep the alignment of this curve correct and to reduce the amount of I don't know, like just make it look like it's one curve, not like two basically. What I'm gonna do here. This is improvisation. I'm gonna do it like that. I don't like the fact that they touch here. Makes it. I don't know. this? Yeah, why not? Let's try. You can see the color of them. Okay, the wings are dark, so even if it doesn't look natural, those three curves there, I'm gonna be able to hide this and make it pop less when I color it. So I'm gonna. Yeah, it's gonna work. The focus is not on that. The things that I don't like now. I don't like the eye. It feels. I don't know. It doesn't feel right. Something more like that, I guess. I know why, because I did this curve there, and I think it should follow the curve of the eye. Should follow this curve now. Oh, what am I doing? Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. What else? I'm gonna go back to this in a second. I don't like this here. There's three lines touching each other. Basically, those three elements, the alula, the primaries, and the triangular or butt, or whatever you call it, are three different elements, and they intersect. The line intersect. They're almost at the same point, which kind of fuse them all together. This needs to change. How am I gonna do that? I think the easiest way to do that is to change them. Push that line a little bit towards here. Okay. Oops. Okay, I much prefer that. Very important. Oh, that's a super important lesson. Tangents. Tangents are the death of depth. They make everything look flat. So you really have to be careful. Just stay away from tangents, unless if you want your drawing to be very flat, then use them. But that's definitely something I need to make a video about. Right, so once again, still this eye. Fuck me, I hate this shit. I'm gonna save. And just redraw this entirely. Okay, I like that. But then this curve here needs to be changed a little bit. Again, see, people think that simple looking drawing are easy to make because there's a few curves. I know I've said that again, but I'll repeat it. They're not simple at all. They're the hardest. Like if you have a lot of curves and a lot of little details, a loose line everywhere in the drawing, you can hide so much imperfection, so many imperfection. Or if you keep your drawing, if I boil down your drawing, your design to the most essential line, every single line needs to be placed perfectly. You have no room for mistakes, so it's just so much harder to do. It looks simpler, but it really isn't. You know, I had a third line here. I was doing like that. I think I'm gonna keep it out. It looks like it's a wash. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it to this. And maybe put a little highlight here. Okay, wow. That's it. Fiber. Okay, I see a few things that I could have done better. Like this shape here should have been thinner. Should have pushed that a little bit up. The butt here, I think this needs to change. The birds are already twisted. And the birds, I mean, butt, or whatever you want to call it, is already twisted. And the way I've put this curve here make it look, it pushes that effect even more. And I don't think it's helping the design. It should be something like that. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay with that now. Anything else? Yeah, the foot maybe should be more around here, which is so big. I'm gonna reduce this. Mm. Actually, that's weird. I don't know what that way. And put it, yes, here. Clean up the little excess line. Okay, well, ooh, what's that? I don't know. Shit just appeared here. Okay, one last time. Do I need to change anything? Hmm. Yeah, I see things that I could have done better, but I mean, I kind of like the result, so let's go with it. Let's go for it. Now I am going to add a power line. Slightly bigger. For the power line, I really zoom to the max. Can't blah blah blah. Can't erase an empty layer. Ah, okay. And I try to put it next to the line. Let's see. Add bigger. Again, power line is something to if you're trying to make something realistic, just don't ever use power line because it makes everything so much. Well, it makes your drawing really graphic. But since, well, in this case, since I'm not trying to represent reality, I want it to look as graphic as possible, really. But for this design, it works perfectly. When you make a power line as well, just don't put it on top of the line because you're gonna break the shape that you've created. You just, you know, it's not gonna be the same shape here anymore. You're gonna make it smaller. You really need to put it next to the line. And I fucked it up. What I was telling you before is this whole part here sucks. Those lines are not beautiful and just now like I actually before I was putting my line next to the black line here I just put it a bit over it just to hide all the imperfection. And it's okay, I'm gonna slowly put it back where it was, not to create too much to attract attention to this. Again, a tattoo technique to hide your mistake. right? So I usually use 2-line weight, very thick one for the external outline, just to make the drawing pop. Then I would use see the beak. I don't know. I feel like the beak is just a fine element that I don't like to put on. I don't put a line around it. Maybe I should. I'll put back and see. But what was I saying? Yeah, okay. So I use a very fat power line for the outline to make the drawing pop. And then I use a smaller one to separate the elements that are at different depths, basically. Just to make to create more to create more depth. I don't know, I always feel that putting a power line around the feet and the beak is too much. I'm pretty sure that I don't want it around the feet, but maybe the beak. Let's see. Yeah, it works. Alright, so now I'm gonna reduce my line, and I'm gonna separate things like the wings, tail, and the head. I don't know. I just think it looks good that way. Let's see, I don't like that line. Like, I find it more difficult to talk when I do this kind of thing because it demands extreme precision. So when you need to be very precise, best to think about nothing and just focus your complete attention on the line. I noticed the difference when I was tattooing. Like when you have clients that are, I don't know, I guess to distract themselves from the paint, they feel the need to talk to you a lot. Well, it always results in shittier lines. So you should go get a tattoo. And that's if your tattooer talks a lot. Maybe some people are way more used to do this than I am, or need to be less concentrated. I guess they have a better hand than I have. But if you see your tattoo artist is not talking, just shut the fuck up. He probably needs the concentration to make your tattoo look perfect. So leave him the fuck alone. Okay. This thing it's a tapered line and I like that, so I'm gonna keep that effect. Mm-hmm. And the taper line that I like, I'm just still gonna make it. Yeah. Okay, what else? The tail. The triangle of the tail is really it's important. I mean, it's separated. I like to separate it from the tail feathers because it's really on top of it. I mean, in this case, it's really important to show that it just really comes with it. I don't like the way this curve ends. Okay, no, I'm cool with it. Okay, I think I'm done. Well, I could add. You know, I think there's a lot of confusion here. So I'm gonna add another line to separate those things. Those subgroupings, I suppose. So I really want this stand out. And this, but then if I do that, I need to do it for here as well. Because it's over. I don't want it to stand out too much, so try to make the line not as big as the one that I've used to to separate the wing from the body grouping. Let's see. That's right. Let's see. I think that works. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna leave it to this. Let's see the original drawing. Yeah, I'll do this one next time. It looks cool. Right. Yeah. As you see, it doesn't look like that original drawing at all. But yeah, I kept the pose. Basically, yeah, it's the pose and the groupings that I keep and just mess around with it. Okay, that's it for today. And I tried to make it shorter, and it ended up being 20-minute longer. Right. I guess I'm gonna do I'll do time lapses of these without comments for my YouTube channel, and I'll keep those full video reserved for people that stake some well, that hodl some skull, basically, just for the Discord community. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Sorry it was super long again. I really need to train on making shorter videos. Thanks for watching. Ciao, and Skull logo out.